Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and today I am back playing, oh man, one of the early classics. That of course is River Raid, running on the Atari 2600. Although that is actually not true, because this is actually running on my clone system prototype that I highlighted a couple weeks ago when I was ranking a bunch of clone systems. This is actually running on an Atari 2600 Walkman FPGA clone device that I was highlighting. This was created by a guy on Atari Age. And yeah, so basically I was playing this game again for the billionth time for YouTube and figured, well, I got all this footage, so why not just throw it up here and maybe talk a little bit about River Raid and also my love of Atari, because that is a thing that's real. First of all, let's go ahead and get this out of the way, is that if you're not familiar with the Atari 2600, or maybe you are one of those people who thinks it is a lame console, I am here to tell you that you are wrong. That yes, a lot of these games they're simple, and perhaps they don't look as great as many of the Nintendo and Super Nintendo counterparts, but you have to remember that this console was originally made, I think, back in 1977, 78. That was a long time ago. But more importantly, if you want to get into playing games on the Atari 2600 and you don't know where to start, it's very simple. You start with Activision. And I've talked about this in the past, and it's so true, is that basically, while Atari made decent games, and certainly a lot of them were groundbreaking at the time, but it was when a lot of their star programmers left and created Activision that you really started to see this little console that was primarily just designed to play Pong and tennis clones suddenly blossom into the machine that we know and love. Activision and their programmers really pushed the system to go places that it was never designed to go. And almost all of my favorite games on the system are Activision games. And River Raid is one of those games. I love top-down shoot-em-ups, and this is probably one of the first ones I ever played. Certainly one of the first ones that was great on the Atari. A couple things about this game is that it is a really challenging and fun game that is completely, in many ways, it's almost roguelike. Like, it's just basically randomized every single time you play, so there's no memorization of this game at all, as far as I can tell. The other thing is that you have to really watch your fuel. You notice that there's a fuel gauge there at the bottom, and essentially what you need to do is, make sure that you slowly fly over the fuel gauges to refuel. The challenge is in this game is that those fuel gauges get few and far between the longer you play it. The other thing is that you get a lot of points for shooting them. So you'll see something that I do here is that I'll slowly fly over a fuel depot and then at the last moment shoot it to get the points. Just one of the little strategies of this game. The other thing is that, and it might be kind of hard to tell in this footage, but there's a little bit of physics or inertia going on here with your plane, specifically the way it kind of banks left and right. It's actually harder to control than you would expect, because the longer you push to the left or the right, the quicker that it starts moving, which is very different from probably every other top-down shooter that you'll play, and makes it somewhat unique for this game. The other thing that's worth noting in this is that this game was programmed by Carol Shaw, which is one of, I believe, the first female game programmers, of that era. There weren't many, and she was one of the few. And again, she made a stone cold classic game here that is still played by people today. I love this game. Pretty much every time I turn on my Atari or my Atari Walkman clone system, this is one of them that I pop in. Of course, the other ones being Keystone Capers and Hero. A bunch of iMagic games, like Demon Attack is another game that I always play. Just these kind of third-party games that actually really push the hardware in really cool ways. So anyways, guys, that's my quick little recap and love letter to all things River Raid and the Atari 2600. Just a video that I was doing and some gameplay that I was capturing and figured I would share it with you guys, and hopefully you enjoy it. I didn't get quite as far as I'd hoped. Sometimes I have some really great runs, but this was not one of my best, sadly.